Do we really need an intro? What's up, everyone? I hope you've all been well. We're already partway through March, but the new year feels like it's only just yesterday. Anyway, we're going to be covering a couple of switches today, both from a studio that you might not have heard of, but they definitely have been doing the rounds recently. Zuoce Studio with the Daibai Linears and the Tactile switches. As you might have seen in my previous video, you'll be able to find them both using the affiliate link from Keeps and Cables in the description down below. If you like what you see, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. So I've been running these switches for a while now, and they're good enough to chuck into your board and forget about them. Both come factory lubed unless you're really particular about a certain sound or feel. They're good to go. But also, interestingly enough, both Daibai switches actually remind me of other switches that are far more expensive. As usual, we'll have some typing sound tests, which I'll run in a Mammoth 75, like this one right here, a QK65, and a Bakeneko 60. I think these three boards will serve as good examples to cover a wider range of board sounds, and I'll be running them in specific configurations that I prefer. So let's take a look. So the Daibai Linears actually remind me a lot of the Invokeys Matcha Lattes. They're both PC top, nylon bottom with a palm stem. The Daibai Linears come with a 13.5mm style box style stem, and the Matchas use the typical cherry style stem measuring 13.3 to 13.4 millimeters. At least that's what I got from my measurements. But even though the Daibai Linears have a longer stem, they've actually got a longer travel distance at about 3.8 millimeters, while the Matcha Lattes have it at 3.3 millimeters. Now, I've yet to find a switch with better factory lubing than the Matcha Lattes. They've all come in buttery smooth and do not feel over lubed. The Daibai Linears have factory lubing, but a lighter coating than the Matchas. Even still, they have done a fantastic job with this. Unless you're listening very closely with the switch next to your ear, they will sound perfectly fine. I mean, you're still gonna hear things even with a perfectly lubed switch right next to your ear. If you can hear it from far, then something's probably gone wrong, or you've got superpowers. Just want to see if we can actually see the lube. Tried this before, but it was pretty hard to capture it. See if we can do anything about it, but try and catch the light. Yeah, trust me, it's there. The Daibais utilize a single stage 18mm spring, so not exactly a long boy, but it's longer than the Matcha's 15mm. Now, just going to do some little comparisons. The Daibai is slightly lighter than the Matchas, so they do depress and return quite quickly. Yeah, so how different do they feel? Different stem lengths, different stem styles, different travel distances, different spring lengths, and probably different PC nylon palm plastic mixtures. They both sound very, very similar once they're in a board, which is interesting because the Daibai Linears actually sound thinner and slightly more high pitched off board. But when it comes to hard presses, the Matchas are actually higher pitched. Have a listen. Just gonna do the Daibai Linears now. And then the Matcha Lattes. Just gonna do it with a harder press now on the Daibai and the Matchas. So overall, the Daibais have a lighter downstroke and a slightly stronger upstroke, making it feel more responsive and snappier than the Machas. And the box style stem gives you a more stable typing experience. To put it simply, I'm splitting hairs at this point. The Machas feel a little more laid back, calmer, more restrained, and full while not being cumbersome. The Daibais are your lighter, springier, more sprightly alternative, coming in at 48 cents Australian or 32 cents American, um, per switch. Your prices may vary depending on your store and where you get them from, shipping, etc. Blah blah blah. The Daibai Linears are a fantastic and competent alternative to the Invokeys matcha lattes, or dare I say, they're skinny matcha lattes. They're an easy recommend if you're looking for a cheaper alternative to the matcha lattes. Let's have a look at some of the sound tests. So, how do we review a tactile switch? Do we focus on the sound, the bump, big bump, small bump, P style bump, D style bump, sharp bump, rounded bump, plateau bump? What bump? The entire thing is a bump. Is that what you call a bump? Bump's a bump, big or small. So, we're going to review tactile switches based on its tactile bump. I mean, because that's what got me into tactiles, and that's what make tactiles tactiles. I like linears, but to me, nothing beats a satisfying bump. A tactile switch with a good tactile bump and a nice sound, that's just a bonus. But remember, it's all about preference. You never know until you try it out. Now, earlier I mentioned that these Daibai switches remind me of other more expensive switches, the linears with Invokeys matcha lattes, and now the tactiles, they remind me of the Kinetic Labs salmon switches. Now, these two have different plastic compositions, but remember we're talking about bumps today. So, similarly to the linears, the Daibai tactiles feature a PC top, a nylon bottom, a palm stem, and come lightly factory lubed. But unlike the linears, they come with your typical cherry style stem. The salmons come in a PC polymer mix top and bottom. and with a palm stem. Coming in at 13.6 millimeters, they're just a little shorter than the Salmon's 13.8 millimeter stem. Travel distance, on the other hand, the Daibai Tactiles have a travel of 3.5 millimeters, but the Salmons have a travel of 3.1 millimeters. Now, I've tested a few different Salmons and they all report back a travel of 3.1 millimeters. What this means is that you're going to have a much harsher bottom out on the Salmons. They've both got 22 millimeter two-stage springs, but the Salmons come with a 63.5 gram bottom out compared to the Daibai's 58 grams. So you're going to get a lighter and softer experience with the Daibai Tactiles. The Salmons are nice, but with a harder bottoming out and a stronger spring, it might not be for everyone. Now, for the bump, both switches have a very similar feeling tactile bump, but the Daibai Tactiles have a nice little tapered stem, while the Salmons are a little bit sharp without the tapering. So let's see if we can get this one is from the Daibai. You can see the little prongs at the stem. So they've got that nice little tapering going on. But if we compare them to the Salmons, if I can get this to focus. Now, the Salmons have that little sharp bit at the end of the prongs. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I think gives the Daibais a smooth, rounded bump, while the Salmons have a sharper, more abrupt tactile event. Which leads to my next point about the bump shapes and the problem it can cause. With the sharp edges on the Salmon's bump, this scrapes against the metal leaf, causing a little ticking or little like clicky noise. I mean, it exists on the Daibai Tactiles as well, but it's not as pronounced. Have a listen. It sounds like there's more going on in a Salmon compared to the Daibai as well. I should also add that the Daibais are slightly higher pitched than the Salmons. So this one is the Daibai. Just gonna put it to the microphone. So this one is factory lubed, whereas these Salmons, I got them without the lube, so I've hand lubed this one, well, a whole batch, this one right here as well. Have a listen. So I'm not sure if you can actually hear it, but it sounds like there's multiple sounds coming more obviously from the Salmons than the Daibais. So overall, the Daibai Tactiles have a smooth and rounded tactile bump, while the Salmons have a sharper bump. They both feel similar except for this little detail. The Daibais also have a softer bottoming out and longer stem travel distance, making it very comfortable tactile to use on a daily basis that won't give your fingers too much of a workout. Then again, if you're a heavy typer, it's not gonna matter as much. The Daibai Tactile, similarly to its linear variant, comes in at 48 cents Australian and 32 cents American. Again, your prices may vary depending on shop, location, shipping. The Daibais are a good budget option at this price point. A good option which might even outperform some of the more expensive switches out there stock. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'll leave you with these Daibai tactile typing tests and catch you in the next one.